Psychology suggests that most people are easily dazzled, but for a select few, the world is chronically boring. While crowds erupt at the sight of fireworks, certain minds remain unmoved, watching the patterns instead of the spectacle. This isn't arrogance, this is neurological calibration. Their brains have built an elite filter that automatically screens out mediocrity before it reaches conscious awareness. Meet the psychology of people who are never impressed. Understanding this mindset reveals why some individuals operate in a reality invisible to most, and why their detachment is both their greatest advantage and their silent prison. Case study: Psycho enters a room where everyone celebrates a product launch labeled revolutionary. The crowd erupts. Psycho checks his watch, analyzing the 17 flaws nobody else detected. He isn't being difficult. His prefrontal cortex has already categorized this as derivative noise. While others experience dopamine spikes from novelty, his brain demands substance before releasing reward chemicals. This mechanism is called hedonic adaptation on steroids. The brain's threshold for excitement becomes pathologically elevated. Neuroscience identifies this as high novelty threshold syndrome, where the baseline for awe sits astronomically high. Most brains celebrate incremental progress. Elite filtered minds only activate for paradigm-shifting innovation. Consider the neurotransmitter economy. When you're impressed by everything, you're optimized for nothing. But when your filter eliminates 95% of stimuli, the remaining 5% receives nuclear-level focus. This explains why certain individuals seem cold during moments others find magical. Their neural architecture has already reverse-engineered the illusion and moved to the next frontier. The prefrontal cortex operates as a relentless quality control mechanism, filtering experiences through probability matrices. It asks, is this genuinely novel or merely novel to the uninformed? The neural blueprint operates through three mechanisms. First, predictive processing neutralizes surprise. When your brain constantly forecasts outcomes, reality rarely exceeds prediction, eliminating the awe response. Second mechanism, pattern recognition saturation. Once you've seen the underlying structure, variations become irrelevant. Like a chess grandmaster who sees 20 moves ahead, the endgame is visible before amateurs see the opening. Third mechanism, comparative analysis syndrome. Every experience is instantly benchmarked against historical excellence. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything is measured against the greatest version ever encountered. This creates an impossibility paradox where present reality can never compete with curated memory. Neurologically, the anterior cingulate cortex becomes hyperactive, constantly detecting discrepancies between expectation and reality. This isn't perfectionism. This is the brain running deficit analysis on every stimulus. The ventral striatum, responsible for reward, begins requiring exponentially greater stimulation for equivalent satisfaction. What once delivered joy now barely registers as background noise. Consider the optimization trap. The more refined your taste, the fewer things satisfy it. Intelligence becomes a cage where excellence is the only currency, and excellence is increasingly rare. This manifests socially as the person who seems impossible to please, but internally they're just operating different software. Their neural firmware prioritizes precision over participation, analysis over excitement. The evolutionary advantage is clear. They avoid deception, spot patterns others miss, and allocate attention strategically. But every adaptation carries cost. The same filter that protects from mediocrity also blocks spontaneous joy. When your brain demands excellence, ordinary moments of human connection feel insufficient. This is where the elite filter transforms from advantage to pathology. Research shows that chronic understimulation leads to anhedonia, the inability to experience pleasure from any source. The prefrontal cortex becomes so dominant that the limbic system, the emotional core, atrophies from disuse. You become the person who wins every argument but loses every relationship. The danger zone emerges when analysis replaces experience entirely. But neuroplasticity offers escape routes. The brain that built the filter can also dismantle it selectively. 3 tactical micro-hacks recalibrate the system without sacrificing discernment. Hack 1. Strategic curiosity. Instead of asking what something is, ask why it exists. This shifts neural activation from judgment circuits to exploration circuits, re-engaging dopamine pathways. The question, why did someone create this, reveals human motivation, which is infinitely more complex than output quality. Hack 2. The 10% awe rule. Deliberately find one element to appreciate in experiences you'd normally dismiss. This isn't lowering standards. This is training selective enthusiasm while maintaining the elite filter for everything else. Hack 3. Dopamine resets. 96-hour sensory fasts where you eliminate all optimized pleasure sources. No screens, no processed food, no curated content. Force the baseline to drop by removing stimulus entirely. When the threshold drops, ordinary experiences regain their capacity to generate neurological reward. The goal isn't to become easily impressed. The goal is to prevent your intelligence from becoming your prison. Masters maintain their elite filter while retaining access to spontaneous wonder. They analyze without losing the ability to experience. They calibrate without becoming numb. This is the difference between weaponized intelligence and integrated wisdom. Being never impressed is a neurological reality for high-threshold minds, but awareness converts curse into choice. Psycho has discovered that intelligence isn't just about IQ. If you've ever felt like you notice details others are completely blind to, the tiny shift in a tone of voice, the hidden motive behind a smile, the micro-expression that reveals what someone is really thinking, then you're operating with a different neural architecture than most people. And in the next chapter, we're dissecting exactly what that means. Psychology of people who notice everything. I'll see you in this video next.